Hello and welcome to the Onside Kick. Ricky Widmer here along with Dave Oster.
Hey guys.
And Mark Weber.
How's it going?
And we're here like we are every week to give you the best insight in Chicago sports. We're going to be talking about the Bulls season recap, the Blackhawks losing to the Red Wings, tying up the series 1-1, and also the conspiracy theory in the NBA known as the draft lottery. But guys, the Bulls season, it's over. Finite. The fat lady's singing. We go down, we win game one against the Miami Heat, but lose 4 straight, and the season is now over.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised at all here, Ricky. The Bulls showed up a great first game, kind of caught the Heat off guard. I think they were a little too relaxed after that big break after their first series with the Milwaukee Bucks. But then it really just showed how much talent the Miami Heat have, not only in the big three, but with Ray Allen coming off the bench. And they got a couple role players who are really doing their jobs. So I think this was more of a, let's see how far the Bulls can get with a depleted roster. You know, yay, we made it into the playoffs without Derrick Rose. Hey, we did pretty good so far, and then it goes downhill.
Really, the Bulls should not have gotten past the Nets. I mean, the Nets aren't that great of a team, but who's on the Bulls? You know, we have a very depleted roster. We're playing with the bench. It's basically Joakim Noah, Carlos Boozer, and then a bunch of guys that we just kind of picked up off the street before the game. And there was no reason for the Bulls to be playing the Heat. We should not have gotten this far, and we did. It's incredible, great storyline. It's a good one to remember later on, you know, if you're ever in that underdog type role, that the Bulls were able to get this far, letting Nate Robinson lead the way.
See, I don't know, though, because, I mean, I would have been surprised if the Nets beat the Bulls. Like, I expected us to do what we did.
Really?
Win a series and then get bounced.
I didn't really expect us to beat the Nets. I thought it was gonna go 6 or 7.
I mean, look at the Nets. The Nets aren't that team. They're not that powerhouse team. They're a team.
Darren
in my
Williams,
mind,
Joe Johnson, and Lopez.
Darren Williams is a guy who it's like, when are you going to show up to the party? That's what I'm waiting for with Darren Williams. He's a guy is he a good basketball player? Yeah. Is he an elite basketball player? No.
He's one of the top 3 point guards in the league, wouldn't you say?
He's not what we call, what all the experts, he's not a winner, Dave. He's not a winner. He's not the LeBron James, the Kevin Durant, the winners. And I mean, the Bulls, it all comes down to the Heat series. I mean, they did what they did all season. They gave me hope. I came into the Heat series the same way I came into the playoffs. You know what? We're going to get bounced. Don't worry about it. They win game 1. And typical Bulls fan Ricky goes, what? We can win the series? And then they just snatch it from me.
And typical ESPN goes, the Bulls are Miami Heat's kryptonite. You know, they're the better team because they don't have a star, and they play that up, and it's, oh, wait, we just got smacked down 115-78.
I really would love if somebody were to listen back to all of our NBA playoff talk, just to have the ups and downs of Bulls suck. Oh, man, the Bulls are doing great. They're going to win the whole thing. Bulls suck.
We'll think back to it when we were right before the trade deadline. Trade Boozer, then the next week, oh, Boozer's awesome.
No, okay, Boozer didn't do awesome, but he's definitely played more consistently, I would say. But then again, you have to remember, hey, that's without Derrick Rose there, taking that many shots away from him. And he's still not putting up the consistent, I don't know, I would expect out of Boozer with that contract, probably 18 and 10 a night. I mean, if we got those numbers on him, yeah, I'd be happy to keep him.
Yeah, I think the big thing was that Boozer just kind of finally showed that, hey, you know that money you paid me? I'm earning it today. I'm finally going to earn that money. And, of course, it's not going to last long because we all know once Derrick Rose comes back, that's out the window.
See, but I mean, and another thing I couldn't stand during this last series against Miami, and I mean, we talk about it every week, and now we can finally put the kibosh on it because now it doesn't matter. There's no return going to come back. But when people are like, oh, Derrick Rose should come back, he's doing a disservice to his team because his team is hurt and wounded. Derrick Rose wasn't going to save us against LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and D. Wade.
No, not this year. Not with, the ridiculous series of events that happened to Dang. I mean, he goes in for, okay, first he has meningitis, okay, you're sick, and then you get the spinal tap, and it goes terribly wrong, and now you can't even, perform, basically. Nobody expected that to go down, and we had everybody was down with injuries. Nobody there was playing healthy on the Bulls roster.
Captain Kirk goes down at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, and he was one of those guys who made a big stand during the regular season series with the Heat and really showed, I can hold my own defensively against the top talent in the NBA.
Literally, he can hold on to LeBron James.
Yeah, I think he got both arms around him.
But, that was the big thing. Derrick Rose, even if you think back a couple seasons ago, Derrick Rose didn't win that series against the Heat in the NBA final or NBA Eastern Conference Finals. He didn't win that series, so I don't know why people think he would come back and be like, just because Derrick Rose is here, suddenly he's going to walk all over LeBron James. It's not going to happen.
See, with Derrick Rose, though, people need to understand it's not physical. He wasn't sitting because it's like, oh, I can't physically perform. He's been medically cleared for months. It's all mental. And, if there's even a shred of doubt in your mind that, you know what, I'm not confident making these moves, maybe because of injury, maybe because he's just not comfortable, I don't want you in there. I want him back next season when he's mentally, I would say mentally like he was a year ago.
Yeah, if you're going to go in there with hesitation, you're going to lead yourself to more injuries because of that. So, and I want to remind everybody, think of Ricky Rubio. Guy coming back, same injury. He came back earlier in the season because his injury happened during the regular season last year. But he wasn't anywhere close to where Ricky Rubio had performed in the past until the very end of this normal season. So I don't know why people are expecting, if Derek had came back, he would have dropped, the 20-something a night and been like a showstopper. No, he would have been like a shell of himself, and he needed to work himself back up. And I think he kind of took that in mind, was like, if I come back and I'm not like the greatest player on the Bulls, I'm going to get absolutely hammered out here.
Well, and it's like, too, Bulls fans, we're used to the last player that we called our guy who was like the leader of the team, no hands down, Michael Jordan.
Well, for you. I had Captain Kirk for a while in between.
We're used to seeing MJ walk into Jerry's office and say, you know what, I'm playing, you're not keeping me out. And that's not Derek. Derek's not the guy who's going to go into Jerry Reinsdorf's office and go, hey, you know what, I'm playing.
He's still a kid.
He's going to take every cautionary action he can. And I've talked to some people who've said, oh, he's just in it for a long career and endorsements. It's like, no, he's in it for a long career, so he can play with the Bulls.
He's the hometown kid, and you don't want to see him, go back out and do this worthless playoff series, really. What would be the difference between losing, only winning one game and only winning two? But essentially, you don't want him to go in there, get himself hurt again, miss next season again, then come back again, get hurt again. That's just not what you want to see. You don't want to see this kid who is such a talented hometown hero just constantly get hurt. Just let him rest, let him play when he's ready to play. This season, we weren't going to win. That's what it comes down to. We were not going to win this series against the Heat.
Then what do you do over the offseason to make sure we win next year?
We need a shooting guard.
Really?
We need a shooting guard.
Shooting guard?
We need a shooting guard. We've needed one for so long now.
Rip Hamilton's not cutting it?
I don't know why he hasn't been cut, really. Why is he still here? He's never healthy. He never plays.
The man had one good playoff appearance. He showed up for that one game, and then it was just...
And that's it. That's all we've done.
That's not all we're paying for here.
Exactly. You're just playing to say, are paying him saying, maybe you'll play like that again one day.
Yeah, if you could play like you did 10 years ago, that'd be great.
It's just, it's a joke. There's nobody on this team except for Derrick Rose and Joakim's playing defense.
You got to give some credit. Taj Gibson was doing good, then got injured.
Yeah, that's the big issue. Joakim keeps getting injured now.
Well, I think it was the fact he was playing on the injury.
Yeah, that's
caused him more injuries. And then Jimmy Butler, great playoff series. I think for a while there he'd played like every minute of a couple of straight games. This guy really showed what he's made of.
But the thing is with Jimmy Butler is he's not developed yet. Like he's a guy who he's not that raw talent that's just going to be there. He can show up day one and just go at it. Like he's a guy who needs a couple more complete seasons to really become that full great player.
How many seasons, though? Because honestly, I look at Jimmy Butler, one more full season. He's an implemented starter forever.
2014, yeah. I'd be fine with 2014 season, him being... I don't know. Maybe... It's tough to say. we're kind of going off of a lot of hope because really, I mean, 2 seasons ago, was anyone going to say Jimmy Butler?
No, it was a second-round pick. I mean, you don't have – if that guy makes a team, that's pretty awesome usually. Yeah. And Jimmy Butler, just around pre-All-Star break was showing some signs of, this guy can actually ball with the rest of the team. And then by the end of the season, we're leaning on this guy really heavily to get the job done.
So maybe at the start of 2014, I can agree with that. It's just – I don't know. I'm a little skeptical because I just think he showed up now with this depleted roster. What happens when Derrick Rose comes back?
Yeah, how much will this team change based on the dynamic of Derrick Rose running the offense instead of this more, I want to say, group-centric offense, even though we do have Nate Robinson, who's kind of emulating the shoot first, pass later style. He doesn't quite drive to the lane as confidently as Derrick Rose would, but he does have that nice floater that he pulls up on people, gets that separation.
That floater where you're like, wait, that just went in.
Did he just throw that over his left shoulder with his right hand? Like, how did that just go in? I mean, he really came up pretty big in the playoffs, but a lot of people are looking too much into it, I think. We've seen Nate Robinson get streaky, and then we've seen him go ice cold. He's just one of those players he's a momentum player. I think he's a great sixth man, and I don't think that he deserves to get paid that starter money or starter role.
Do you think that the Bulls are going to take a chance to keep him, or do the Bulls just go out and be like, yeah, you know what, it was nice, but go get your money somewhere else?
I think if he's willing to go for a very small contract, then yes. I would say go ahead, keep him on the team. Anything big, I don't want him. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I really harp on the Bulls for, in my mind, is the fact that we go out with our first-round pick this past year and get Teague, and we don't use him basically at all. The regular season, I think he showed up in like maybe 10, 11 games, and that was in garbage time. And that really hurt us a lot in the playoffs. He was completely exposed for being an inexperienced player, defensively, offensively. I mean, the guy just didn't look comfortable out there. Why would we go out there and use a first-round pick on a point guard, to fill in for Derrick Rose, and then refuse to give him any time to play? I mean, it just doesn't make sense in my head.
Well, do you think it's because of Nate Robinson? Because they moved him to, he's a shooting guard playing the point guard position.
Basically, but still, it's like, okay, with our 1-2, we ended up going, Kirk Robinson?
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, that's okay, but as far as, the rest of the series, when we had Rip during the regular season and Teague behind, and, I mean, we didn't give, I just feel like as a rookie, we didn't give Teague enough playing time
we didn't.
To learn the system, and it was just laughable in the playoffs when I saw him come in and try to, guard anybody. They just, Teague's on the floor. Go massacre him. I mean, that's what it came down to.
And I mean, you got to think about this, too. Think to his Kentucky career. Did Kentucky play that much defense besides Anthony Davis?
No, it's not something he's known for. That's why I'm like, get him out there, get him playing. I mean, Tom Thibodeau, if anybody can teach defense, it's him.
I think that he needs to go somewhere else, to be honest. I didn't like it when we picked him. He doesn't fit this. I mean, I guess anyone can fit Thibodeau's system because he'll make you fit it.
Yeah, that's the point.
But I just don't think Thibodeau wants him in his system.
That is what I kind of got the feeling of. So he only got play time because Thibodeau's hand was forced due to injuries.
Exactly. And even there were times where there's plenty of injuries, but Thibodeau's saying, no, he's sitting. He's not going to play this game. Just because he doesn't want to play him, we got to be able to get something to trade him off, to get some kind of player, some role player or something, just because a team wants him for the fact that he's young. He's played at high levels before when he was at Kentucky.
And his brother's a proven NBA commodity. I mean, the guy can ball. So it's like, it's in the blood. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. We should just get rid of him because I think it's obvious that Thibodeau doesn't want him. What are we going to do when Derrick comes back? I mean, I assume that we're keeping either Nate Robinson or Captain Kirk. Yeah. I assume that we're going to keep one of those guys. So do we need the third point guard to just kind of sit there at the number 12 spot?
I think it'd be a good idea to keep Teague. I like the idea of having Teague. I just wish he was implemented more and actually given a chance to earn some playing time out there, because I think he brings the 3 ball, which is definitely nice to have, and he's a quicker, smaller guy who can show that offensive spark sometimes, given the chance. Kirk is our defensive guy, and you got Rose, who's our playmaker. So I think it'd be nice to have that depth and differentiation in point guard play style. But you're right, it's going to come down to Nate Robinson. I mean, everybody in the world saw his play during this playoff series, so there's no way he's going to walk in the door and be like, yeah, I'm cool with that $1.5 million contract I had last year.
See, I don't know. I keep thinking to myself is when do you say, oh, we need a shooting guard? I think right away you can get that in this year's draft. And I'm looking right now at NBAdraft.net, and they have their mock draft that was just updated May 10th, where they have the Bulls in the first round going with, I'm not even going to try to butcher the name. It's a big guy out of Greece, the power forward / small forward. And what kind of troubles me about this is why would the Bulls take a power forward, small forward, when a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr., a shooting guard that, I mean, can he fit into Coach Thibodeau's system right away? Maybe, maybe not. But the one thing he can do is shoot the ball well, and I'd rather have that and then teach him defense than the other way around.
I like the idea of Tim Hardaway Jr. I think he adapted really well in Michigan. He immediately, when Trey Burke came in, was like, okay, play style last year, throw out the window. This guy's something special. We got to work around him. And he took to it.
And look at Trey Burke. Trey Burke, not exactly, but he was the guy where Trey Burke ran the offense at Michigan. Who's going to run the offense for the Bulls? Point guard called Derrick Rose.
Exactly. I think Tim Hardaway, I like his adaptability. After seeing what he's done in college with that team, his play style completely changed over the course of his 3 years there. So I think he'd be a great pickup for the Bulls. Right now, he's slotted anywhere from mid-teens to 20s, which is right in the Bulls' alley. So I'd love to see him go.
And you talk about Teague having that basketball player in the blood with his brother. Well, Tim Hardaway Jr.'s dad was one of the best Miami Heat in the history of the NBA, I'd say.
Very true. That puts a lot of pressure on him, though, too. I mean, I don't want to jinx the guy or anything, but I mean, he played under a big court in Michigan, so I'm going to give him some credit on that.
Well, not just that. I mean, I think it's easier knowing because whenever you watched a Michigan Wolverines basketball game, the camera was always on Tim Hardaway Sr. with his little Michigan Wolverines beanie that wasn't all the way on. He's at every game for his son, and I think that takes a little bit of the pressure off of him.
The attention is all going to be on Derrick Rose this next season, so it doesn't matter if Hardaway Jr. has that bloodline of basketball, because everybody's going to be asking, is Derrick Rose ready to play, and was it worth the wait?
And now let's get into the actual meat and bones of this NBA draft. So with that, I'd like to kick it over to Ricky for his crazy conspiracy theory time. Enjoy.
And for those of you who are like, why would Ricky want to talk about a conspiracy theory? It's called the NBA lottery. Just plain and simple. The Pelicans, they used to be the Hornets. They get it. Right now, I'm going to say it in front of everybody. The Kings are going to get the number 1 pick on Tuesday. Their little golf ball is going to bounce around. And when I say that, the commissioner is going to just be like, okay, Kings get it. Because they keep the team in Sacramento when, I don't know about you guys, I wanted them to move to Seattle.
Just about everybody did.
Bring back the Supersonics. And just because the Kings stay in Sacramento, they're going to get the number 1 pick, and it's probably going to be Nerlens Noel.
Who can't even play till Christmas.
Yeah,
doesn't mean you're not going to. The thing is, though, they're probably going to take him just because of what he was before the injury.
But exactly, there was an injury, and he was a freshman. You know, it doesn't make sense to me to take somebody that has that inexperience number 1 overall. There's no guarantee. There literally is no guarantee he will ever come back and be the same. It is so easy for him to just not be healthy again.
And you're talking to 3 fans who know very well what an ACL injury can do to their player.
Exactly. So, I mean, maybe he comes back by Christmas. That's possible. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't come back until playoff time, which you're not even going to be in the playoffs.
No, you're not.
There's a reason why you're going to win the NBA draft lottery, and that's all I want to say, that the Kings are going to get the first-round pick.
Why don't you give them your backup, in the past?
In the past, I mean,
down?
All I have to say is we get Derrick Rose in a year when we weren't even supposed to. I think we're at like a 0.8 whatever or 0.0 something chance to get him, and we got the number 1 pick. We get the hometown hero. Then you have, what was it, the year with was it the Cavaliers that brought the kid on stage?
Yep,
or was
for
it the
Kyrie
T-Wolves?
Irving.
They get Kyrie. Anthony Davis, you just sold your team to the owner of the Saints trying to redo your team. Oh, here's a first-round draft pick. It's like, come on, really?
Not to mention the fact that there was a picture tweeted of him prior to the lottery little drawing there where he already had the hat on for the team. He already had his little hat. He knew where he was going.
Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things where it's like the NBA is going to give the players. It's a corrupt system, and I think the Kings are going to be the next team to kind of fill in that little slot on Tuesday at the NBA Draft Lottery. But guys, last NBA thing I want to talk about is the playoffs in general. We have our Western Conference Finals matchup set in stone. The Grizzlies taking on the Spurs. Then Miami Heat, they get to wait to play either the Knicks or the Pacers. We'll start in the Western Conference because that is kind of set in stone. And Dave, you've been saying all along that you're excited for this matchup.
I really am. I would have loved to see Golden State go through, but, healthiness was not on their side. So end up with the Grizzlies and the Spurs. Fantastic matchup. We've got the old guard and the young guys. And honestly, the Grizzlies are one of the most physical teams out there. And I think that they just... I really like seeing Gasol and Randolph down low. They have such good teamwork down there. The ball movement's fantastic. And they really crash on the boards. And I don't know if Tim Duncan can keep up with those two guys down low. I know he's got like Thiago Splitter. He's got Dwan Blair helping him out. But I think the two bigs in Memphis are going to put up a real big challenge for him.
See, and not just that, I feel like the Grizzlies just got a good draw. In the first round, you go up against the LA Clippers, who, did we expect them to move on?
No.
Maybe move on one round for some people, but most people didn't have them out of the first round. Then you get a Thunder team that loses Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can't... if anything, this injury to Russell Westbrook has really made everybody else realize, wow, they really need Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
They do, and Memphis has proven to be kind of a streaky team. All their wins, always 4 in a row. They're always winning 4 in a row, whether it's the 3-4-5-6 in the first round or 2-3-4-5 in the second round. I think that's a little interesting to see just because it's once they get hot and they start winning, they might just keep winning.
And, they have some interesting... Like, their whole thing is teams can't match up with them well because their size, their strength, and their speed. And you know who that... that's going to work great if they do make it past the Spurs and go on to face probably the Heat, let's be honest. And I think that would be probably the best matchup to knock the Heat out at that point would be the Grizzlies. On the other hand, you got the Spurs, who Ginobili and Parker, honestly, are big question marks for me. I know they're proven guys, but I got to feel like right now they're not at the top of their game, and I just don't have a ton of confidence in them.
Really, Ginobili's not at the top of his game after hitting that game-winning three-pointer.
He was wide open. I'm sorry. If you can take like a broom and swing it around and you don't hit a single player, you're not being covered. You're just not being covered.
Still a great shot.
He made the shot. I'm not going to take that away from him. I'm just saying nobody covered him.
No, I just feel one thing I want to kind of just throw out there and ask before you were going in about the Spurs and the Grizzlies. Quick thing about the Thunder. Durant losing to the Grizzlies, does it really hurt his, I'm not going to say legacy because that's a weird word to use, but
on a 25-year-old, yeah.
Does it hurt his image any that it's like, okay, Westbrook goes down, show us that you're the guy in OKC, and then they lose to the Grizzlies?
You know what it looked like? It looked like Cleveland about 5 years ago.
I think it would have been nice if Durant was able to carry his team into the next round, but I don't think anybody really expects one guy to just go out and do it against a full team. A team that everybody, you just said it, Dave, you can't match up with them. The matchups aren't there. So to really expect this guy who, phenomenal jump shooter, to just go out there and just lay it down, NBA 2K13 style out there, just knocking it all down, that's not what's going to really happen. So I don't think it really hurts him because...
I think it does.
But I don't think anybody expects one man to do it all himself. Everybody knows you need that full team.
I'll give you the reason why. When you have, and I'm going to read this quote that they put on SI's cover that Durant said, "I've been second my whole life. I was the second best player in high school. I was the second pick in the draft. I've been second in the MVP voting 3 times. I came in second in the finals. I'm tired of being second. When you come out and say something like that, and who cares if you lose Westbrook? Yeah, I know he was your Robin, but it's like when you come out and say something like that, you got to back it up. And I feel like, yes, do I feel sorry for him that he couldn't get past the Grizzlies? Yes. But if you say something like that, you got to back it up.
But he's not really second in this category. I mean, he's, like 7th in this one.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, really.
You get what I'm saying.
No,
though.
I do. But I think you have all these complete teams that are there. I mean, the Spurs, obviously, Memphis, Miami's stacked. You got the Knicks and the Pacers battling it out right now. The only teams that are not complete teams, the Thunder, knocked out. They only won 1 game. The Bulls, knocked out. Only won 1 game. I mean, when you only have one guy you're relying on, or like even in the Bulls' case, the guy you rely on is not there. So you got nothing. You're just hoping somebody shows up. I don't think anybody really expects those teams to make it very far, especially in the NBA when right now it's big 3 or go home.
Yeah, it's really hard to argue with star power, and if you don't have it, you don't have it. The end of the line. So I think it's unfortunate for him that it really exposed, the fact of how much Westbrook was doing to the rest of the world, but he probably knew that already. He hears, everybody blaring on, oh, Westbrook takes many shots, he's holding the team back. You know what? It's a good thing Westbrook takes those shots because that gives Durant open looks at other times during the game. It just kind of brings some appreciation to what Westbrook did do for him.
Well, last thing I want to ask about the Western Conference Finals, predictions. Who do you got? How many games?
This is a tough one for me just because I really like the Spurs this year. I've been saying it that whole youth and veteran mix is a really great mix. They're a better team than they were last year. And Memphis, though, really does provide those difficult matchups. They're definitely going to be a physical team. The Spurs are going to want to slow it down, I guess. I don't know. It's like a clash of different kind of play. And it's going to be interesting to see who wins. Who is going to play whose game, and that's what's going to determine who wins. And for that, I have a lot of trouble saying that it's going to be the Spurs that wins this one. I think it goes to 6. I'm going to say it goes to 6, and it probably will be Memphis.
You are pretty much same path as me. I like Memphis. I think the Spurs, it's the only problem I have with knocking the Spurs is Pop. I mean, the guy's a genius. He completely turned around the series with Golden State. I mean, that was a completely opposite team of them. That was a quick team, outside shooters, and just absolutely trigger happy on that. And, Popovich, he kind of gathered the team together. He's like, we got to slow this down, bring it to our pace, take them down a notch. And they did. And that's why I'm like, I want to give coaching advantage to him. But as far as the players go, I like Memphis with the 2 bigs. And that's my pick. I got Memphis. I'll go 7. Yeah, I think this series has potential to go 7.
Dave, I'm going to go Spurs in 7. And the one thing I feel about this series, it's going to be a long series. It's going to be good old-fashioned basketball.
It will be.
You talk about the bigs in the middle. Yeah, could we get the kind of calls that we're used to seeing in this era of the NBA? Yeah. But it's not going to be like when the Bulls played Miami and people are about calls. It's going to be, okay, I got a foul here, but we both know that was a good foul.
I hope they let them play. I hope they don't do the ticky-tack bullshit.
That'd be the best part, but nonetheless, I think this series is going to 7, and because of, like you said, Coach Pop, 7 games for the Spurs. And going over to the Eastern Conference, the Miami Heat are already in the finals. They await their opponent, and if you were the Miami Heat, Mark, I'm going to throw this to you first. If you're the Miami Heat, who do you want to see, New York or Indiana?
I want to see New York. I think there's a lot of pressure on New York right now. There's a lot of pressure on Carmelo Anthony. And I think they're going to fall under the pressure. I mean, we can already kind of see that the Pacers are doing a good job against them. And I don't want to play the Pacers. I think the Pacers are going to match up better defensively against the Heat. So I want the Knicks, who they're going to have trouble. And we've seen it in these past couple games where the Knicks, nobody's shot is falling. You know, they really, as a team, just have not been playing that well offensively. And they're relying too much on Carmelo Anthony, and he's already got so much pressure to finally get into the finals and win one, that I just think they're going to fall.
Yeah, and honestly, the thing I got against the Knicks is they are that outside shooting team. And as you've seen so far in this series, when J.R. Smith's shot isn't falling, it really looks kind of sad out there. The thing is that he's a momentum kind of player, and he's never afraid to take those shots. He kind of seems like the no remorse guy. Like, he can just brush off a miss like it's nothing. But this series has kind of brought him down a notch, in my mind. I think Carmelo, like you said, tons of pressure there. But they do have a pretty solid team all around. Meanwhile, Indiana has they have a true definition of team. There's not that standout star, and they play a really solid defense. And they do seem to have a very good chance against the Heat, as they've shown in the regular season. But a lot of this is going to decide on Paul George and his concussion, whether he's able to play Saturday night. We're recording this Saturday afternoon. So if he plays tonight and maybe the Pacers could close out, if he doesn't, that's a huge shift. He is the unofficial star. Like, he's not quite that elite caliber player yet, but he is a top talent on that team. And if he's not out there, I think the Knicks have a chance to stretch this out and take a shot at the series. If I was the Heat, I'd say I want to face the Knicks.
See, I want the Pacers to finish off the Knicks only because I want the Heat to struggle in the Eastern Conference Finals. I want life to be tough on the Heat because I feel like the Knicks, they can't contend with the Heat. The Heat will sweep, maybe go to 5 games with the Knicks. With the Pacers, I feel like it would be a 6 or 7 game series if the Pacers and Heat matched up.
I mean, the only issue there is, I understand, you got David West, who's just physically gifted when it comes to defending, the bigger players like LeBron James. You got Hibbert down low. But I want to say the fact that LeBron and, Wade and Chris Bosh, I hate to even mention him in the same category, but he's proven himself. He is one of the big 3. Outside of those 3 players on the team, we've seen a lot of these side guys really bring up their level of play and fill in those gaps. D Wade was playing a little gimpy the other night, and guess what? Ray Allen lights it up on the 3-point line. Mm-hmm. Somebody else was gone. Mario Chalmers comes up. We're seeing a lot of better performances out of these bench guys than we ever expected to see out of them. So I really don't think they're going to be too worried about the Pacers defense trying to lock down LeBron when they have had all these other people show up in this playoff season already.
And that's exactly what really helped out last season when they had the NBA Finals. They were able to win because of guys, like Shane Battier, Mario Chalmers showing up and finally proving the worth of themselves on that bench.
I just thought they were getting carried the whole time, to be honest with you. Yeah, but really, I want to think that the Knicks would have a better shot at keeping up with the Heat and if they went to a series because of their ability to get hot and make those outside jumpers. I realize they're a streaky team, so they're either going to get completely blown out because they had a bad night shooting, or they're going to be shot for shot with them and be able to take out the Heat. Meanwhile, the Pacers kind of have bull syndrome some nights where they forget how to score more than 70 points in a game.
See, I don't know. With the Pacers, I think back to last playoffs, because, the Pacers were a team where they had a chance to knock off the Heat and then lost in 6. And I think that the Indiana fan base, the Indiana players, they remember that. And they're going to come play harder. And I feel like if Indiana and Miami kind of match up, the key player is going to be Ray Allen. If Ray Allen is hot, the Heat win. If Ray Allen is not, the Heat will lose.
Moving over to the Chicago Bears, they finally got around to signing that first-round pick, Kyle Long, to a 4-year, $8 million deal with the team option. And he is basically upset Karimi so badly that Gabe Karimi is not even showing up to OTAs. He's not even going to bother.
Why would he upset Karimi? That's just my question.
Because he is Karimi's replacement. Basically, the thing is, everybody's saying Karimi originally was going to play tackle. He wasn't good enough. Now he's playing guard. Kyle Long can play tackle or guard. And Kyle Long has been impressing all the coaches.
Last time I checked, Karimi had a whole year with the Bears to show what he can do. And if I'm not mistaken, he was injured, right?
He got injured. And
so you have a history of injury, plus you have to make a great first impression on your new coaching staff, and you're not doing that. So, I mean, I think Karimi should just be mad at himself, right?
Yeah, it's a joke, I think, because you're letting these rookies and these new picks that we got, like Bushrod and Slauson as well, you're letting guys like this come up and make impressions on the coaching staff, the new coaching staff. And what are you doing? You're sitting at home.
Yeah, it's disrespectful, and it kind of makes me sad because I thought, Creamy maybe wasn't the best pick for us, but you know what? He fit the spot, and he looked like he could probably be, a starting lineman for us in a couple of years, He wasn't exactly what we hoped he would have been rookie year, but it looked like, this guy can probably handle his own in a bit, and now it's kind of like, I don't know if he's going to be on the team coming season.
Yeah, he's running a dangerous position to where he might just get cut. We might just get rid of him because you're not playing. You're not here. You've been hurt. You got hurt in your, second game of your rookie year? You got hurt right away. You're not here now. It kind of makes you look like you're a little bit of a baby here because you're upset that we went out and got new linemen.
Obviously, we got new linemen because our old linemen sucked.
Yeah, and you're one of them. You lost your job before and got moved to guard.
See, all I can think about, though, is was Karimi a draft pick of Mark Trestman? No, he was not. And I kind of relate this situation to when you get a new head coach for a college football team. They always say, like, oh, don't expect him to be good right away because he's got to bring in his own recruits. And that's what Trestman's doing. Trestman's trying to bring in the guys that he likes, that he wants. Does he like Karimi? Probably, but Karimi's not his guy. Kyle Long is his guy. Kyle Long's the guy he went out and picked on a limb in the first round of the NFL draft.
Yeah, and he's kind of, I don't want to say he's tying his name to it because honestly his job isn't on the line or anything, but he is putting a lot of faith in Kyle Long because it seemed to the general media that it was a stretch on the pick, even though he was a need for the Bears. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays out with Karimi. I mean, right now everything's publicly nice. It's okay when he gets here kind of thing. But I'm pretty sure behind closed doors, it's not the same answer.
Exactly. This kind of Trestman-Emery combination has been proven to be a little business-like, a little cold with, dealings with Urlacher. And even before with Devin Hester, where they're, he's having his talks about possibly retiring, and they go, all right, you're not a wide receiver anyways. We don't care. You're not going to get any slack on your leash on this one. If you're not showing up, you're going to get cut. These guys don't care. They have no relationship with you.
See, and especially like a guy like Gabe Karimi, where it's like he's not missing it because, I have to finish up graduating college. It's just, I'm pissed. I'm not showing up.
Exactly. And it's kind of immature. It's really immature. So, disappointed in the guy. But you know what? The Bears will figure it out. I don't think it'll take them too long.
And guys, the last thing to close out the show, talking a little bit about the Chicago Blackhawks losing Game 2 to the Detroit Red Wings 4-1, a complete opposite. We win 4-1 Game 1. They win 4-1 Game 2. And it just seemed like the same thing that happened in round 1 with the Minnesota Wild, the one game we lost against them, when the Wild just roughed us up. They kind of pushed us out of our comfort zone. That's what I saw a lot of in Game 2 against the Red Wings.
Really, the Red Wings kind of showed that this rivalry is one of the best rivalries for a reason. They're not going to go down easy. They're going to make it difficult. They game planned extremely well for the Blackhawks. They knew exactly how to attack us. And they basically came out there and said, you're not going to have any chances to go down and just go time after time again. I believe that first game we had 42 shots on goal. Now they only let us get 20.
Yeah, and also, when was Game 1 played? It was played on Wednesday, and the Wings were coming off of a Game 7 winner over the Anaheim Ducks. And when you have Wednesday to Saturday to kind of sit, rest, game plan, they just came out well rested.
Yeah, and that game plan was to keep the puck in transition. I mean, they went from defense to offense in a matter of seconds. The puck movement out there was fantastic. And it really showed a weakness for the Hawks. I don't know if it was that game or what the deal was with our lines, but we just could not get. We kept getting swept up in the transition game, and they kept getting easy shots. And they really just from the puck dropping, they had control of this game.
Well, it seemed like whenever the puck got in between the blue lines, that the Hawks, whenever we'd bring it up on offense, there's a big hit somewhere by the Red Wings that would just loose puck. Red Wings would get it, bring it back the other way.
Kill the momentum, definitely.
I feel like the Hawks kind of maybe took it a little bit too easy on Detroit in Game 2, and Game 3 will be totally different in Detroit.
Well, I think we almost got frustrated out there. I mean, you could see it early. I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was those big hits, and then Carcillo got pissed. He got pissed.
Oh, Carcillo had I think they said 12 out of his team's 25 hits in the second period.
Exactly. You could just see that there was some frustration in those players, and he was just going to take it out.
Yeah, but if you noticed what happened in the third period, Coach Q said take a seat, and we didn't see Carcillo for the rest of the game.
Exactly, and that's not what you want to be. I mean, you don't want to have to pull out the hothead because you're afraid of what might happen. You're afraid another power play is just going to lead to another goal. That's what you want to avoid. We just didn't. I don't know. We never really got started, I think, was a big issue. Or we did get started in the first period, but then I guess we just let Detroit take it.
See, I think it all starts with your captain. And you say the Hawks looked flustered. No one looked more flustered than Jonathan Toews, because the Detroit Red Wings basically said, you know what? Datsuk versus Toews, that's not going to work. We're going to put our captain, Zetterberg, who's a bigger body on you, make life tough for the young captain. Because, I mean, when the 19-year-old captain gets going for the Hawk, then we're going to win games. We need him to get going if we want to win.
Yeah, I think the problem that we have is that nobody offensively really was there. I mean, only 20 shots on goal. That's not good. That's not good at all. Even the Red Wings, when they lost to us in Game 1, they had more shots on goal than we did. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, too, because we did do well on the power plays, yet even at full strength, Crawford was not getting it done.
Do you put any of the blame on Crawford?
It's tough because he came out in the first period and he had a decent period, a couple of great saves actually, but after that first period, it looked like night and day. He kind of reverted back to some of the downsides of Crawford as we've come to know him.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit streaky Crawford that we're used to seeing. It was unfortunate because he did have some of those amazing saves, those just awkward body saves and everything. But once they started going, that was it. It was done at that point. And it's so easy to just blame your goaltender, always. And 30 shots on goal, it's not a huge number. But, I mean, there are a lot of shots, obviously, so he's going to miss some of them, obviously. But that 87 save percentage, it's not looking pretty, because going to Detroit now, they know what to do. They figured it out. This is what you do.
Well, home ice kind of flipped.
Yeah.
It's flipped to Detroit now, and I feel like, am I scared for Game 3? No, because the Hawks all season have been one of the best teams. When they lose, they come out the next game, and they know what they need to fix, and they usually get it done.
We can only hope that we kind of keep that rebounding attitude and just forget about this game. Let the amnesia take hold, I guess, and just forget about it, or use it to fuel your fire, whatever works out for you. But, I mean, I'm a little nervous on the side of fans are going to start asking, what's Emery up to?
That was my next question for you. I was like, if Emery is healthy, do they make the switch?
I said it, I think, last week, where I said, you have one of these bad games, you got to think about it. the question has to be brought up.
Yeah, but it depends on what type of a bad game. Is it your forwards and defensemen that had the bad game, or was it Crawford that had the bad game? Because there's some games where you go out there and it's like the goaltender's standing on his head, but his team's not helping him.
And I think this was an interesting combination, though. It really was, because none of our forwards really were doing that well. You know, really nobody was. I mean, Patrick Kane got a goal early on, and then we were done. You know, we I guess assumed that one goal would be enough. But really when it came down towards the end, it just kind of led to they're going to keep hitting us. They're going to keep getting those shots. And Crawford can't stop all of them. I think if you know that this is their game plan, I might not be so hesitant to make a switch to Emery.
See, I don't know. With me, I feel like if you're going to make a switch, if the Hawks lose Monday, you make the switch then. If you don't, you keep Crawford, because you can't lose 2 and then switch to Emery, because then it's going to be putting Emery in a situation where it's like you lose and we're done.
Yeah, that's just absolutely terrible position to be in. I want to keep the faith in Crawford, to be honest with you. I know he's been like the main goalie all season, even though we've been switching goals.
Well, it's been a shortened season too.
Exactly. But I think you're right. I think you got to let him play it out. And he's earned his right. I think just give him the full series. I give him my entire faith. I think Emery, good goalie. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the guy's come up big for us. But I think you got to stick with Crawford in this series.
Seeing a good thing about the Blackhawks is we might have lost back-to-back games 4 times this season, but we have never lost more than 2 games in a row.
There you go. That's the sign to look to. That's exactly what we need right now. Don't get too far behind, and don't let one loss, maybe even 2 losses, ruin the team morale. Just bounce right back and knock these guys out.
And that's going to do it for the Onside Kick. I want to thank everyone for listening. If you have any comments that you want to share with us, share them right down below. We love talking to our fans about the sports that we talk about and what's on your mind too. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/The Onside Kick. Have a good day, everybody.